Happy to welcome in one of the Naismith finalists for Coach of the Year, Brian Dutcher, the head man of San Diego State. Coach, how are you?
Good. We're in lockdown. Every day's the same. So like you said, Monday, Friday, Saturday, doesn't matter. Every day's the same right now.
Well, John and I decided at the end of last week that if you do like yard work or like maybe you paint the inside of your house, it makes it feel like well, not for you, I guess. For a normal weekend, you had a basketball game going on. But like for us, you like do something like chores related. Maybe that makes it feel like a weekend.
Oh, I'm outside right now working in the backyard. Trust me, I got work to do. So I'm trying to take advantage of this time to get some of the projects done around the house.
So, Coach, I then take us through what's a normal day like for you, especially down in San Diego, where let's be honest, the weather is damn near perfect every day.
Yeah, it's like a staycation right now. So I'm at home. I'm on the phone all the time, obviously making recruiting calls. We can't go on the road. We can't bring kids in for visits, but the recruiting doesn't stop. So I'm making 4, 5, 6, 7 calls a day, trying to stay ahead of the recruiting curve.
So, are you? This is total just not knowing the answer in terms of the rules where they are right now, because everything has changed in all college sports and all sports in general. But in terms of recruiting, right? In terms of whether there's dead periods, when there's not, the amount of, I guess, text messages are unlimited anyway. But like, has any of that changed in terms of what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, since no coach in any college sport is allowed to actually see in person any player?
Yeah, we're basically on a dead period until April 15th, and then they'll evaluate it. So this is the time of year where the transfer market is just starting to pick up. So we'd be, looking to get in to see kids, bring kids on visits, and ramp up the transfer recruiting. But we're in a dead period, so all we can do is work on the phone. We can text, we can call, and that's what we're trying to do to stay relevant in the game right now.
And everything has changed. Like, if this had happened 20 years ago, we couldn't move classes online. And yes, we did have phones, but the connectivity is so much easier. How has it changed, or how has it been a benefit in this period to be able to have the technology that we do have to connect with some of the recruits and transfers that you're trying to talk to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this has never happened in the history of the world, being on lockdown like this. And so to have the ability for the kids to continue their classwork online, to interact with their instructors on Blackboard, to have video conferencing, it's made a huge difference. So we're able to function as a university, even though we're not on campus. We're still working toward educational goals. We're working toward graduation, and we're working to better ourselves in that classroom.
Go back to being the conversation of the transfer market, Coach, and Brian Dutcher, the head coach of San Diego State, with us here on Playbook. Horowitz and Jansen. You have used the transfer market at San Diego State before, and certainly the team that was so outstanding this year, partly because of the transfer market. But I know a lot of that has to do with meeting those guys in person. So how do you adjust which transfers you can trust in terms of personality right now when you can't actually meet any of them in person?
It's such a relationship business. So a year ago, when Yanni Wetzel hit the web portal, I was the second coach in there. Someone beat me in the morning. I flew to Vanderbilt and met with him. 2 years ago, Dave Velasquez and I raced in to see Malachi Flynn at Washington State, met him on campus. And so we don't have that personal interaction right now. We're doing it over the phone. But at some level, trust is built when you can look across the table at a guy, whether it's a player or him looking at a coach, and say, I believe in this guy. So we're missing that aspect of it right now. So everything we're doing is over the phone and trying to build a relationship to the point where these kids can come on campus. And who knows when that will be. It might be months from now. It might be weeks from now. We don't know. And so we're kind of in limbo. So we're doing the best we can with phone conversations and trying to build that relationship over the phone.
And, Coach, when you talk to your team, your current team, and especially the guys that are going to be back next year playing for you, as a former student athlete, as a former professional athlete, the one thing that always comes to my mind is, what am I going to do to work out? How do I improve? What do I need to do to get better for next season?
Work. The answer is yard work.
Yeah. And I know that it's so fresh, and there's always a time frame after the season where you try and get away a little bit. But what is there anything that you've been able to do or you're allowed to do to set up either rehab or practice or gyms for your guys that are trying to continue to work on their craft?
Right now, we can't get in the gym. Our practice facility shut down, weight room shut down. Rehab-wise, they've got it scheduled where if someone has injury or something they're dealing with, we can take care of that. But right now, we're on complete shutdown from the gyms, and it's not a bad thing now. If it drags on 2 or 3 weeks from now, right now we're healing our bodies from a long season. So I don't think the kids are missing it that much. It's almost good they've been shut down. But if we're here 3 weeks from now, then they're going to get the itch to get back in somewhere to work on their game, and it's going to be challenging for all of us at that point.
Speaking of an itch, Brian Dutcher, head coach of San Diego State, with us here on Playbook. Horowitz and Jansen. Coach, you and I got to spend some time together during this season. I had a chance to call some of your games, and we had talked at one point about your weight to be a head coach, right? An assistant with Steve Fisher in Michigan, and building the program into a great one that you have there at San Diego State. And then when he decided it was time for him to retire, you took over, and you said it was worth the wait. Look at where you are, the program you are, and you kind of were excited. You had a team this year that obviously already did special things, and who knows what they would have done. For so many people, the coaches are disappointed for their players, and I know you are too, but what about for you, right? You had an opportunity here to do something really special with this team, and obviously we were unable to see that one through. How hard was that for you personally?
I feel worse for the kids than myself. Because as a coach, you get another chance to go. When you're KJ Fagan or you're Yanni Wetzel, your fifth-year seniors, you've never been to the tournament, and you have a year like this and you can't have that one shining moment, it's hard. Malachi Flynn, as a fourth-year junior, hadn't been to the tournament yet. And we're talking about a first- or second-team All-American that doesn't get a play on the biggest stage, March Madness. And so as a coach, you always feel like if I do my job, I'll have a chance to take another team back. But these kids don't get that second opportunity. So I'm kind of heartbroken for them more than I am for myself.
How have you dealt with the emotional side of that with the players that have that one opportunity that they're not going to have now? How have you helped them, not just physically, but emotionally deal with what they're going through?
They're mature young men, and I think when the NBA shut down and then followed by the NHL, Major League Baseball, I think everyone can accept it at that point. If everyone else is playing and you're the only event shut down, then you wonder, how can this be? How can we not play? But when the NBA shut down, it shut everything down, and I think they know it's a different world right now. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, hopefully, and they just have to accept it like we all do.
Brian Dutcher, head coach, San Diego State men's basketball team, with us here on Playbook. All right, so I've been meaning to ask you this for about a month now, Coach. I was the play-by-play voice of the game that you guys lost your only regular season game all year. Did you leave that arena hating me that night?
No, but now that you say that, I don't know if I'm going to have you back, especially if we're on a hot streak. Maybe you're the cooler. That's the problem.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, I also was there when you guys hit like 15 threes at Air Force. So I don't know. I mean, does that balance it out at all?
Well, we'll take you on the road, but you can't do a home game. You're a good road guy.
I can't. I'm never welcome back at the beach.
We'll have you back. That was my fault. I got to do my job, so I'm not blaming you. I got to do my job better.
And the lead up to that, just with 26 in a row, right? That's in and of itself is amazing. How did you, deal with was there pressure? I guess would be the first question. And if there was, how did you handle that with your players and managing expectations?
We were able to set mini goals all year, and they just kind of worked out. And so when we won the regular season title with 4 games to go, I just said, why not pursue perfection at this point? Let's try to win our last 4 games. So it wasn't something like we're close, let's try to win 10 in a row. But when we got to a 4-game stretch, we went ahead and I think we won at Boise, and then we had 3 to go. We had UNLV coming in. And so they were playing really good basketball. TJ's done a great job with them. And we ran into a very good team on a very hot night, and they deservedly beat us. But that didn't detract from the goal to try to finish out a perfect year. It didn't happen, but that was our goal.
Yeah. I want to go back to Malachi Flynn for a sec, Coach, because big picture stuff right now, and maybe he has already made this decision, maybe not. A lot of players are going to have to make decisions about whether or not they want to come back or they want to turn pro, and there might not be a combine, there might not be workouts, the NBA draft or season, who knows when it's going to take place. How do you advise, or how would you advise players on what to decide to do with all of that uncertainty?
It's tough. Usually we have the pattern of we have workouts with teams, and if you're good enough, you get invited to the combine, and you kind of know where you stand as much as you can in the draft. But now with the uncertainty, it makes everything harder. I'm almost in favor of doing it like a baseball model. Hey, let them put their name in. If they don't get drafted or they go second round and don't have a guaranteed contract, let them come back. Do more of a baseball model in it. Now, I don't know if that'll happen, but I think with the times we're dealing with now, I think that would be a great thing for everybody that, hey, go ahead and explore. If you're not drafted or you're taking second round where you're not guaranteed anything, allow them to come back to college.
Would that be a one-time thing, Coach, or do you think that's a rule that should go on moving forward?
I think it's a rule that should go on moving forward. And who knows? This might be the furthest thing that's going to happen. But the time might be right to say, hey, let them draft these kids. Everyone thinks they're getting drafted anyway. And then when they realize, hey, I'm not a first round, I'm not early second where they're offering me guaranteed money, guaranteed deal, then I'm going to go back to school. The tough part is the colleges. You have 13 scholarships. Are you going to wait and hold all that money for that kid to decide if he's coming back or not? I think it can be done. I think 13 on scholarship is too many anyway. That's why so many kids are transferring. They want immediate success. So if you have your 13th guy waiting to see if he goes or not, if he goes, you can survive with 12 on scholarship.
And you mentioned Malachi Flynn and Yanni Wetzel and some of your players. When you think back on this team, and it's probably been hard to do over the last 7 days with everything that's gone on, but from a coach's perspective, what would you say the identity of this team was and the character of this team?
They were older, which is important in college basketball, in my opinion, especially at our level, to be older. They were connected. I think the best quality was their chemistry, and they were selfless. They all sacrificed part of their game in order to win.
Brian Dutcher, head coach, San Diego State men's basketball team, and like so many people on lockdown right now. Coach, take you back. So you're talking to two guys who were born in Michigan. John still lives there. You were born in Alpena, right, or somewhere around there? Is that right?
Alpena, Michigan, up in northern Michigan, yes.
Okay, so during a lockdown, I guess this makes it a little bit more difficult, but during like a situation here where you can't, the whole social distancing, how many walks a week would you take at this point if you still live there at Thunder Bay River State Forest? Is that something that you would be doing on a daily basis?
Maybe in my younger years, not at 60. I like the sun at 60.
Well, I mean, it could be. Isn't Alpena right on the water? Isn't there a beach?
Yeah, if I could fish, I might be able to do that. Is downtime, if I could get out and do some fishing, I would do that for sure.
Well, there's probably like a virtual program you could hop on your couch, pretend you're in a boat, and pretend to reel in a marlin, couldn't you?
Not at my age. I don't know how to do any of that virtual stuff and all that online stuff.
You got kids, don't you?
I'm out in the backyard, and I'm taking walks. That's what I'm doing.
Well, and in a perfect area to do that. But I tell you what, you come back to Michigan, and we'll do social distancing at its finest. I'll get you out on the boat. We'll make sure to wet a line, and we'll have a good time going around Thunder Bay
Michigan.
there.
How's he going to get there?
I can't come now, but I'm telling you, I would come back in a heartbeat and do some fishing.
You're on.
Me too. That that's going to be our.
You're not welcome.
We're all out of our house. That's the first thing we're all doing. We're all meeting at Jansen's. Coach, we appreciate the time. It really was a wonderful season, and what was a great team. And we wish you the best of luck with obviously this. But then whenever it gets back together, putting together a team for next year.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Stay healthy.